The first one. I love them all, but the first one is my favorite movie of all time. And when I saw that movie, I like all the stuff, the crazy stuff that happens, like when the blood shoots out of Glenn's bed. And when it came out, I was 8 years old. So I was definitely too young to be watching it, but I knew that it was all like a big magic trick or whatever. So I'm like, how did that, I want to make that happen. Like I would, and just watching people's reaction to that stuff, him coming out of the wall and knowing that it was like lo-fi and people probably just figuring out the best way to pull these tricks off. Like, so that's kind of what really lit the fire. And then like when access to a camera came along, that was it for me. But again, like we didn't have at that time, we weren't carrying around cameras on our phones and stuff. So it was hard fought to come by. And so when I started college, I was an aerospace engineering major with a minor in film, because I went to UT for the first 2 years, and they had obviously a really good film department, and it was just really starting to take off, because that was like right when Robert Rodriguez was like, I don't think he had made Desperado yet. He was about to, right? But he had made El Mariachi. There was just a lot of stuff happening. Linklater, all this stuff was just bubbling in Austin. So I knew that I'd have a pretty good time in the film classes, but I again didn't think, I'm like, well, yeah, but is there a career in that, And then when I went to classes, I immediately knew that I was enjoying the film stuff way more. I was doing fine in the engineering classes, but it was just very boring and dry to me. The people they were nice enough, but I didn't see myself like having a fun hang with any of these guys, right? They were all pretty much just interested in doing the work and getting through school, right? Very business, which is, if you're an engineer, that's probably how you have to be. But I would really plug into my film classes. So the second semester, I flipped it and I changed my major to film. And so then that got me access to cameras and stuff. When I moved back to Houston, I started working at the public access station here. And that was right sort of when the digital revolution was happening. So we had like access to Canon GL2s and things like that. And yeah, exactly. So it got a little bit easier to use, and at the time everybody's like, well, it's still not film, whatever, but it was something to shoot on. And I did actually have, I for one of my bands, we shot a couple music videos on 16 millimeter, because I'd learned to do that in school. And I knew a guy that had a 16 millimeter Arri. I just bought some of the film and, I borrowed a changing bag from a friend and was like, let me see if I can do this. And we did it. So I did shoot on film, but I still had to have it transferred to Betacam, which I learned from Robert Rodriguez in his book. I was like, that's how he
edited. Yeah, of course, it's the Bible.
Yeah.
Films at used car prices. No, I'm sorry. Rebel Without a Crew. Feature films is the Rick Schmidt book.
Right. Yeah, I've read that one too. Yep.
Of course.
And, so that's kind of how I got into it. And then the opportunity became, I'm in this band. Well, the easiest thing to do is make music videos, right? And that'll be my little shorts. So I did a few of those. And then since I was working at the access place and had access to all the equipment, I was like, why don't I try to do a feature? So I did my first feature, which is called Fade to Black. We shot it for like $300, and hold on, I lost my wire here. Okay, there we go. We shot it for like $300, and then it was what's funny is it was kind of like found footage before that became a big thing, because I was just trying to think of the easiest, cheapest way to do it. So I was like, oh, everything is captured via security cameras,
right?
Then and I was dating a theater actress at the time, and all of her friends wanted to be part of it. So it's like they're used to doing theater type stagey stuff, so we could run through the whole scene no problem, get long takes. And so that was the idea. So I did that. It played at a couple film festivals, the first of which, where it premiered, was the Bare Bones Film Festival in Oklahoma, and the guest of honor was Rick Schmidt. So and so that's where I met him, and he gave me a copy of this book and stuff. So it's funny you brought that up. And then from there, it just I just started making features when I could,
So then what happens with that $300 feature that you made? Because you brought up the idea, like the snobbery of film, right? Like
right.
The way that people would like look at it, like, oh, are you shooting on film? Because you would either get asked that, or you would get asked, if you said you were making movies, there was is it on film, or people would ask, "Are you making money yet?" Like it's
Right.
those two questions
Hmm.
always.
Yeah.
And the thing is that what's so crazy now about that is it on film question. I remember all that stuff with broadcast quality and, oh, it has to be this, has to be that, and now like it doesn't matter. Like it
Right.
really does. Like
Mhm.
it's so funny. So what happened with that? Like what did you end up like? Did you put it out on VHS? Did it come out DVD? Is it on streaming? Like what happened?
Well, it actually, I want to speak to the film thing too, because I remember when I made the first poster for that movie, it said at the bottom, it said a film by Mel House. And the first person that wrote up the review was like, he really got on me in the review because he's like, you can't call it a film. It's not shot on film, so from then on, if I put anything like that on the poster, I say a movie by Mel House just to be spiteful. I'm like, you know what? That guy can suck it. You know what I mean? Like, so ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But it played a few festivals, and it just never, like, at the time, I didn't see a way to get it out further. Um, and so I kind of just got frustrated with it. And then, how you get frustrated with something, and then you start to think, well, it's because what you made was shitty. You go through that, and it may not be the case, but that's just what
No.
you get in your head.
All right.
And then so I started to get embarrassed about it, and then so I just kind of buried it. Like, it played a few festivals, and that was it. Like, I still have it. It hasn't come out. However, when I do a Blu-ray for In-Betweening, which I plan on doing because we have to for the Indiegogo, like, backers and stuff, I'm going to put it on there as an extra because
Dude,
I found it. Yeah.
let's make it available for streaming. Anadinia Films
Oh, yes,
on
that's
demand.
perfect. That's actually perfect. That's actually perfect.
If you're interested,
Yeah.
like, I mean, let's do it. Like, I would love to
Okay.
do it. Like, and the
Okay.
thing is, the way that it would work is literally we put it up, and then whatever sales, anything, I just Venmo you or Zelle you money, and that's it.
Okay. Okay.
So
Cool.
if
Yeah, I'd love
you're
to do
if
that.
you're I don't know how much we're going to do, but at the very least, it would be available in a way that you could say, hey, go here and do it.
Yeah, go there
So
and check it out. That'd be cool.
cool, 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 cool. I'm gonna write that down at the bottom of this. And you said it's called Fade to Black, just because
Yep.
I'll remind you about it. By the
Sure.
way, only you and I know what we're talking about when I say this. Your package arrived, so thank you very, very much.
Awesome. Yeah. Perfect.
And because my thought was when you sent it to me was because you showed the DV tapes. I'm like, um, I bought or like somehow I got like that, like an 8mm, like an unopened 8mm videotape. I said, I'm going to make a movie on this, which ended up becoming Fleas 2.
Yeah.
And I saw your DV tapes, and I'm like, I'm going to shoot a movie on DV again. Like, why not?
Yeah.
I may have to plug my camera in when I do it, but
Right.
one way or the others. So then, um, okay, how do you make your films? Are they self-funded? Are they partially self-funded? Grants? Like, how are you doing it? And how many films have you made?
So it has been all of those things. It's like it always varies. And today, so In-Betweening is my sixth feature,
Okay,
counting
yeah, yeah.
counting Fade to Black. I've produced like something like 20 or 25, but when I say produce, like, I get a credit on it, and I usually work pretty hard on it, but generally in those cases, I'm not really involved with finding the money on those ones I've produced, right? It's more like I'm going boots on the ground as like a unit production manager or something, or getting some talent attached that I've worked with. So it's like, because the financing stuff, I don't want to say I've always had an issue with it. I've been able to make it work, but not to the degree that some people I know, where somebody's like, a friend of mine hired me to work on his movie, and he got $800,000 budget for it. I'm like, how did you do that?